Hello everybody, and thanks again for joining me for Third Act Stories. And in the third act, we're in our 60s, we're in our third act of life, and what we're doing in our 60s are pretty much dependent on the decisions we made throughout our lives and got us to where we are. So I thought what I would do is talk a little bit about decisions I made. Some of them good, some of them bad, but everything that I'm dealing with in my life right now is a result of the direction I took and the decisions I made. So right now, I'm doing pretty good. I'm a single guy. Obviously, I made at least one bad decision that gets me into the single guy category because I was married twice. In both those cases, I probably chose a partner based on physical attractiveness, how enjoyable and excitable they were and all the wonderful things that you choose somebody for, but I didn't choose them for calmness, gentleness, kindness. Those sorts of things are very important, and making decisions about the people that you're around and the people especially that you build a life with, you really need to take those sorts of things into consideration. It turned out well for me because I've always wished everyone well and, hope the best for them, and that comes back to you. If you do that for other people, then you see it for yourself. Some of the decisions that I did do very well at were career decisions. A good example, I've talked to you about my involvement with Star Wars before. And I grew up loving film and loving science fiction films especially. Star Wars came around probably when I was 16, 17, something like that. Maybe a little earlier than that, but it was certainly influential for me. And you would have thought it was something that I absolutely would have jumped at the chance to do. I started out early on as an artist, did a lot of comic book work, enjoyed doing that, ended up making, and here's how I ended up getting the Star Wars connection. I had been doing some comic book work for a company who wanted to do some more kind of off-color stuff, things that I really wasn't comfortable doing. So I told the editor, hey, I don't want to do this stuff. I'm really trying to do family-friendly comics. And that came back around to me. That decision that I made to not do the stuff that they wanted me to do came back around to me when that editor ended up working for another comic book company, bigger, better comic book company, and had Star Wars work to do. He came to me because he knew I wanted to do family-friendly things and things that kids would enjoy. And so I got the Star Wars gig. And that thing lasted forever. I made a lot of money at it, got involved with a lot of fun things, and eventually I did get asked to apply. I got asked by Lucasfilm to apply for the art director's position for the prequel movies. I think that's 1, 2, and 3. You would think I would have jumped at that, but I didn't. I made the decision not to go for that position because I was already working at a large energy company in Texas, and I was making pretty good money. But I'd been working there for 10, 20 years by that point, and I'd started out really not making any money, but I started working there because I knew that they had things like a 401k, they had a great dental plan, they had insurance and all this kind of stuff. And I knew that as I kept working and kept sticking with that company, I would move up in the management positions and all that kind of stuff, and I'd make a good salary. Well, that's what happened. I also got a college degree. Back in the day, if you had a college degree, you would get a promotion over the guy who didn't. So I got all the promotions. And to make a long story short, working 30 years at an oil company ended up paying off for me a lot better than if I'd gone to work for Star Wars. I ended up retiring with a great pension, just a great 401k. I always put all my money into the 401k. And I'm very satisfied with where I am in my retirement. I'm able to go on trips take vacations. I have all the fun projects at hand that I work on, you know, the robots and the model kits I've got a brand new house, doing a lot of things with the house, building onto the house, going to build a nice garden in the back to work in. And, you know, I've really got a satisfying life for myself. And that's because of the financial decisions or the career decisions that I made early on in my life. I didn't always go for the fun job. A lot of times I went for the job that wasn't necessarily as fun, but it certainly was more stable and had a better financial outcome for me. Other good decisions I think I've made over the years is I've tried to control my alcohol intake. I don't smoke. I don't use any kind of drugs or anything like that. I try to eat healthy food. Try to eat food that's not processed. If you look on a label or a can or something and it says modified this or that, don't eat that. Eat stuff that you know is fresh. A lot of lean, fresh meats, vegetables, that kind of stuff, and that's kept me fairly healthy, I think. I've got, you know, genetics probably has something to do with it too, but making decisions about what you put in your body is important. Making decisions about who you get involved with is important. I don't get involved with people who are, you know, maybe the most exciting, energetic people in a party, or someone who's got crazy ideas about things. I don't ride motorcycles. I always loved motorcycles, but first time I got one, it looked like everyone was trying to kill me on it, so I said, getting rid of this motorcycle. I don't drive too fast. I try to stay, you know, aware of my surroundings. And you think that stuff is just things you would tell a kid to do, but in reality, that's how you stay healthy and you end up in your 60s and you don't have an artificial hip because you got knocked off a motorcycle. You know, I can go hiking, I can do all sorts of fun things that I wouldn't be able to do if I got in an accident early on. And I know accidents and things, you can't always control that, but you can make the best decisions you can to get you in a place where you have a better chance of being safe and being sound. You know, I also exercise, try to get out, dance a lot at night. Not every night, but, you know, as often as I can, I get out and go dancing. That's a fun thing to do in your third act. You know, I lift weights and stuff. I know a lot of friends, guys especially, their rotator cuffs go. And they're always having surgery on their rotator cuffs and stuff. Well, I don't, because I lift weights and keep that all nice and tight in there. You know, I'm not like Arnold Schwarzenegger or anything, obviously, but, you know, you keep all your body parts doing the things they're supposed to do, and you keep them healthy, and they take care of you, and you can last longer in life. Hopefully, I'll have a good few years in my retirement, be able to go hiking and swimming and dancing and not jumping out of planes, not doing that. Nothing against people who want to do that. That's great, but it's all about decisions. What decisions you make, you got to live with the consequences. These are things you would do differently when you're younger, maybe, but as you get older, I got to a point in my life. Here's a true story. When you're in your 60s, you don't realize you're in your 60s. And I used to do things like, hey, I'll jump off this, 30-foot, I'll take a leap and jump over here, I'll do this or that. And at some point in my life, I realized, ooh, wow, I'm older. I got to quit doing this stuff. I got to quit doing all these, things that if they go wrong, I could end up in a situation where I'm hurt. The other thing is take care of your back. I'm a tall guy. A lot of people come to me, if we're in an airport, or we're at, somebody's moving boxes or anything, and they go, hey, can you get this box up here? Or, hey, can you lift this thing and put it over here? And in my 30s and 40s even, I kept doing that sort of stuff. But when I started getting into my 50s, even if someone was asking me nice to do something like that, if it was something that would have damaged my back, I always said, let's get a younger guy to do it, or let's figure out a different way to do this. And I would turn people down about that kind of stuff, because if you damage your spine and your discs in your spine, then you're not only not as able to get around as much, you become a cranky person. And I don't want to be a cranky person, so I take care of my spine. Protect my spine, and I protect the aorta. What I mean by protecting the aorta is don't let people get you into a fuss. There are people and things and situations can get you worrying and get you frustrated and fussy about stuff. Don't do that, because you have to protect your aorta. 2 things in your third act: protect your spine, protect your aorta. And don't do drugs, kids. Because you never know what's in them. That's the thing nowadays. I also try to make decisions based on what I think is best for my spirit. I don't look at things that would pollute my spirit. I've gotten to the point where I don't even watch horror movies and stuff. I try to fill my mind with positive things. I try to fill my soul with good things, uplifting things. And it's especially important if you're a Christian to do that, which I am. But it's important for just a person who wants to have a healthy spirit and a healthy mind to not put a bunch of garbage in it. There's a lot of stuff online you can look at, and it will just pollute your mind. And you know what I'm talking about. And not just the obvious stuff. I mean, you can sit and get on that thing and start scrolling all these crazy AI things, and before you know it, you're mad as a hatter. So be careful with what you put in your mind. Anyway, sorry for all the yingy-yangy stuff, but it's just about decisions. I think that's important to think about when we're in our third act. Thanks again for joining me, and we'll get back to doing model kits and, goofy stuff and comic books and all that good stuff next.